Okay, if we analyze this portfolio, we can see two main reasons why it's down despite one of the largest bull markets in history, certainly in the US markets. So you might think, wait a minute, there's a Bailey Gifford American fund. How come that's down £12,000 and the BNY Mellon Asian Opportunities, surely Asia, diversification, it's not America, it's Asia. Surely diversification should not see both of those losing substantial sums of money. Given that the allocations are approximately the same, given the values therefore are approximately the same, and the losses are roughly the same. So how come that they've both dropped? And this sort of puts a light to the whole diversification issue. It's actually fund managers and IFAs trying to sell you more funds. When the markets fall, everything gets more highly correlated to the downside, i.e. when you want diversification the most, you're least likely to get it. That's something I've written about in my Financial Times columns over 20 odd years ago. It's nothing new. So let's look at the Bailey Gifford American, shall we? Now, in terms of the holdings, no particular issues with these. As such, I've not looked at DoorDash, but I still hold and own Nvidia, Amazon, Shopify, Meta, Netflix. Got out of Tesla in October, so should they. Once you get below 5%, it gets a little bit worrying whether it can have meaningful impact on your portfolio. Let's even say once you get past 3%. So really, these are the holdings which should be driving returns. Now, let me show you why. Despite having what looks ostensibly like a good selection of companies, and the IFA will say, look, they're American and America's done well, and look at the stocks they own, can't complain. I'm going to show you exactly why fund managers nevertheless managed to lose money. This is Meta. It's a chart of Meta from 2016, one of the stocks that they hold. And you can see for years the fund managers would be talking about how clever they are because in a rising tide all boats rise, and the markets were going up, and so Meta had gone up. This is where the problem occurs. It then drops 80%. If they can't sell, because for instance there's only so much cash a fund is allowed to hold, it's only allowed to hold roughly 5% in cash, the rest has to be in equities, and if all equities are highly correlated to the downside and they fall simultaneously, then basically you're a hostage being handcuffed to a sinking ship. So that 80% drop is what those American funds took on, which begs the question, well, why the hell were you with the fund manager to begin with? Why not just invest in the holdings yourself? At least you'd have some opportunity to jump ship. You might say, well, I wouldn't know when to jump ship. I'll come to that in a second. And then, of course, when it rises and goes up 260%, which I did not foresee it would rise that much, we entered in January 2023, as it says on my Telegram, simply because it was on our approved list. It ticked value, growth, income, cash flow, and the momentum was no longer falling as measured by the MACD monthly. It's a good way of measuring momentum. It's published in my books. I've written about it many times. But when we did get that bonus, at least we were able to take that. Well, what about this fall? How do you avoid those falls? Because we know fund managers can't. Well, there's two ways. One is, and by the way, for any exit strategy, you want something which is objective and easy to measure. Otherwise, it will open to narrative and confusion. So the simplest way is probably if something drops, say, 20%, from the peak, or 25%, or even 10, you'll have some kind of exit levels. If it drops 10%, you might say, well, my risk appetite is such, I'll sell 15%. If it drops 25%, I want to be completely out by then. That's one way. Slightly more sophisticated manner which I use is basically if the momentum, which is measured by the monthly MACD, drops below its own moving average. Now, I don't want to be holding stuff. When that happens across not just Meta, but Apple, Amazon, S&P, as it did in January 2022, I sent a note out on my Telegram to say I'm going to have to hold cash till February. And then when the February list, my list of value, growth, income stocks came out, same scenario. So I said, well, we'll wait till wait till March, then April, then May, then June, then July. And then it ended up holding cash for a long time. Now you might say, well, no, don't worry. Hold your nerve, Alpesh, because look, it came back. The price came back. Well, let's just look at the maths of that. That means you got a 0% return over 2 years when the price came back, 0%. We were able to get over 250% over those 2 years. In the first year, we had to hold cash, simple rule, if it drops, well, in this case, it had crossed there, which was, it dropped 10%, not even 25. So we missed the 80% drop in the market, belatedly got in January 2023. We couldn't call the bottom of the market, got in 2023 because we can't see into the future. We didn't know it was going to be that good, but we got 250% over those 2 years. It's all on my Telegram channel. And simple rules for getting back in: value, growth, income, cash flow, Sortino, alpha, momentum not falling. Simple rule for exiting: either it drops X% from the highest it's been since you bought it, or the monthly MACDs drop, particularly if it correlates across multiple assets. So the fund gets you 0% over 2 years, frustratingly, because you look back over the preceding 12 months and you say, hang on, even the NASDAQ went up 55%, the S&P 25%. That's essentially why you're sitting on underperformance with the funds. Despite them having fairly good stocks, fair asset allocation regarding them, that's the problem. And when, let's say, Nvidia pulls back, or Amazon, or these, you're going to have a sharp downturn as well. Now, there's another problem. People tend to pick funds based upon name recognition and recent performance. So they'll probably go based on that, which may well mean that even if you're at near the top of the market, you're about to hold on as it drops, because they tend to revert to mean. Name recognition, the academic research shows, is not a good way of picking stocks. Recent performance is not good, because those doing rather well tend not to sustain their performance. Guess what people do? They pick on name recognition and recent performance, two things which are actually quite irrelevant. But IFAs love selling you recent performance because they need that in the sales literature. What else had happened? BNY Mellon was another one of yours, which had dropped sharply. Well, that's its 3-year performance, and it's down 18%. Now, my problem with Asian opportunities and all of this for diversification, I've already mentioned, it didn't give you diversification. So you've got to ask your IFA, why the hell did you pick something which didn't actually end up giving me what it was supposed to do? Presumably, that's the only reason they gave you Asian opportunities, because God knows the American market, if you just look at UK and US stocks, you've got 10,000 to select from. Seems to be good enough for Warren Buffett. So why on earth did you have to go into Asia looking for opportunities which didn't give you the one thing that they were supposed to give you? Diversification. Remember, when markets fall, there's an increase in correlation between them. When the markets go up, you don't want diversification for obvious reasons. Diversification would imply something falls. When things are going up, you don't want it. You want concentration. When they drop, you probably want cash, but when they drop, you're not going to get diversification anyway. There's academic literature on the point that it's not what people think. It's not delivering what people think it's supposed to. There's a problem in the industry that there's a lack of understanding of what's actually coming out from the research, and they're still using, I think, education from the 1960s. On some of what's going on in finance. Anyway, hopefully that gives you something of an insight into how IFAs and funds can destroy a pension.